All right, we're back for the first time in almost close to 2 months since the wrap-up of Falcon Winter Soldier back in April. This time we're talking Loki, premiering this Wednesday, June 9th on Disney+. It's been a long road to the show, a lot of anticipation, and it looks to be a great one. As always, we're being joined by Doc Chris Mueller. Chris, what's going on, my man?
Oh, not much. I'm looking forward to this show.
I know, and you're the one that brought this up and doing a preview idea, and I love the idea because we haven't spoken quite a while, so this was a great way to kind of bring it back and preview this show before it premieres on Wednesday. People can follow you on the Twitter machine at BR_Doctor. Phil, you're on the Twitter machine as well. Phil Lindsey, you're at PhilDL616. What's going on, Phil?
Good, how are you?
Doing great. Is your anticipation level with Loki on the same level of ours as well?
Yeah, I actually just recently rewatched the first Avengers movie, and man, Loki is just so good in that movie. So I'm very much looking forward to this.
And the cool thing about Loki, too, is that he was in a lot of Marvel-related movies and whatnot, obviously used in all the Thor movies and the Avengers stuff up until Infinity War. And there was never, like, any Loki fatigue from anyone, as far as from what I could tell. Like, no one was like, oh, just kill him off already. Like, he's such a great character, and Tom Hiddleston is amazing in that role. So I think we can all agree it's great that they're giving him his own show. But not just giving him his own show and bringing back the character from Infinity War. This is like... As you mentioned, Phil, this is like 2012 first Avengers Loki. So without all the character development, without kind of like, in wrestling terms, the face turn, so to speak, like this is that asshole Loki from almost a decade ago that we're getting in the show. And we've seen a lot of previews since we spoke last for this show that's been dropping on Twitter and from Disney and whatever. And we have a better idea of what it's going to be about with like the timeline continuum and stuff like that. But still, I'm a little lost on exactly what's going on here. So, Chris, can you shed some light on what you think Loki's going to be about?
I mean, just based on the trailers, it looks like the Time Variance Authority pretty much scoops him up like as soon as he grabs the Tesseract and zips away during Endgame. And I think it was Owen Wilson's character who's like, you doing that created all these alternate timelines, which... That seems like a red herring in the trailer. Like, I don't think it's going to necessarily be Loki who's responsible for all that stuff, because it's just weird the way that Marvel has established the rules of time travel and then kind of keep changing them. But, yeah, it seems like it's just going to be a series of, like, adventure of the week. Like, Loki goes to this timeline and fixes this event, or kills this person or doesn't kill that person. And I'm sure there's going to be like, a nice overarching story, but it'll kind of be like WandaVision, where each episode has its own story, but then it'll also contribute to the overall arc.
Do you like that? Because it feels like this is the first show. I mean, WandaVision was like that, like you said, and each episode kind of has its own adventure. But with WandaVision, more so than this one, it feels like, and even especially Falcon Winter Soldier, each episode was part of it was like a movie broken up into 6 parts. Loki does not feel like that at all. This does not feel like this would be a great movie, but as a show, it works wonderfully. Do you like the fact that it's broken up and it's more, I don't know if episodic is the word or if there was another word for it, but like you said, each episode is its own adventure. Do you like that about it?
I mean, I think it'll serve the format well. I liked how Falcon and Winter Soldier kept the story moving episode to episode, and that felt like one continuous thing where you could almost watch it as one long movie. But with Loki, I feel like if each episode is devoted to a different timeline, then we're going to get to see him in all these different settings, and that's going to be sort of the fun part of it, like how it was with WandaVision, seeing all these different sitcoms get sort of parodied week to week.
Yeah, and then I think one of the appeals of this show is the unsolved mysteries of a lot of these different mysteries from the country in the last 100 years or whatever it is, not the last century, but like from what was the volcano? What is it called? Not Vesuvius. The one where it exploded, but there's no documentation of it because it happened so long ago. I don't remember exactly what it is. Once I hear it, I'll remember. But
are you talking about Pompeii?
Pompeii. I'm an absolute idiot.
It just got wiped out by the volcano.
Yeah, I think that's one of the episodes that they're exploring. I'm pretty sure. I don't think they outright said that, but one of the advertisement looked like it was going into that. There was. Again, I'm terrible with the names, but the other mystery that they're going into with the guy I don't know if he stole all the money. The one where he's in the airplane. I forgot the name of that one too. D.B. Cooper, right?
Cooper.
Yeah, D.B. Cooper. Okay, so that's another one of the episodes. That looks like it's going to be one of the early ones because they've showed that quite a bit in the advertisements.
And that one, that's interesting because he says, like, Heimdall, I hope you're ready. He's, like, hoping Heimdall grabs him with the Rainbow Bridge thing. So it's like, are we going to get to see him, like, go to Asgard and pretend he's, like, old Loki and trying to mess around with, like, are we going to get a Anthony Hopkins cameo randomly or something?
Maybe, because I know he jumped out of the plane in that same scene, and when we see him escape the plane with the money in his hand, and then I assume it was Heimdall who's the one that kind of takes him away, unless that was the TVA, but it looks like he uses the bridge back to Asgard, so maybe I didn't really think about that, but that would be a good idea too. What about you, Phil? Do you like the current layout of what Loki looks like it's going to be in terms of each episode being its own adventure and stuff like that?
Yeah, I'm going into it completely open-minded. I'm not sure what it's going to be, and I'm just, I'm in for the ride. I am curious with the time travel stuff. Will it give any tie-in to Eternals? Because it seems like Eternals is gonna have like flashbacks to other times. So that's what I thought when I saw the Eternals trailer.
That's a great question. In addition to the Eternals, do you think this show ties into anything else? Because like with WandaVision, we had that with Doctor Strange 2, as seen in the post-credit scene. Falcon Winter Soldier, clearly building to Captain America 4, which was announced immediately after the show wrapped up. Is it Eternals, do you think, that this is going to bridge into, or something else? Because that comes out later this year.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I obviously, I felt like that was the closest that they could tie it to another movie property, because it looked like the trailer was jumping around in time a lot.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, because it seems like I don't know exactly where they are in time or what timeline this is going to be. Like you said, Chris, they keep changing the rules of time travel, so I'm curious to see how they address that. But what about you, Chris? Do you see this kind of tying in anything? Maybe it's the Eternals, or is it just going to be its own entity? Is Loki?
Well, it depends, because if it's planned to be a multi-season thing, which this is one of the shows that I've heard rumors that it will get more seasons, that it's not going to be a movie, that it follows it up. So it may just kind of exist on its own thing and then like tangentially ties into stuff. Like Loki might show up in Thor or something, but yeah, I think Loki might kind of be its own separate thing for now. But I also do feel like something will happen in the show, as has in all the other shows we've seen so far. Something important will happen in Loki that affects other things. I just don't know what it would be. But the Eternals is a good guess just because of where that is in the lineup. But would we have, if the original schedule had stuck, would we have gotten Eternals before Loki, right?
I
don't know.
Because weren't we supposed to have Eternals already out by now?
Oh, yeah, it would have been out last November, I think. Loki would not have been out yet, because I think the original schedule would have seen, I think it was Falcon Winter Soldier late last year, right? And then maybe WandaVision at the same time, and then probably Loki this summer, I think. Or maybe earlier. I think maybe it was this spring. But definitely Eternals would have been out by now.
Yeah, so I don't know. It'll be weird to see how it works, but I mean, for all we know, this could also tie into Doctor Strange, because alternate timelines are sort of a multiversal thing, so, that could always just be another tie-in to that.
Yeah, that's possible too. I mean, there's a lot of different ways they can go with it, and that's kind of part of what I'm looking forward to as part of the show, is that we don't really know exactly where they're going with this and how it's going to tie into other stuff, but I'm sure it will, knowing Marvel. Have you guys seen this theory, or at least based off the trailers and whatnot, that they're going to have other versions of Loki, like Lady Loki and people like that, as part of the show? Has that been confirmed, or is that just speculation?
I haven't seen confirmation.
Yeah, I haven't seen confirmation. I've seen people talking about it, but I assume that's just speculation.
So, can you guys tell me about the role of Lady Loki? Because I'm not overly familiar with what she's all about and where she comes in. Like, what role would she play on the show? Would she be the main bad guy or the main opposition to Loki?
No, well, the Lady Loki is when JMS rebooted the Thor books. He's the guy that like changed the Thor books around, and that's where you got like the armored look that's in the movies now. And when Loki reappeared in that comic, he was a woman. But it's kind of one of those things where it's like his iteration. I didn't keep up with the book consistently, so I don't even know what happened with it. Mm-hmm. But I just know that when Loki came back in that book, he was a woman.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see the interaction between them on the show. What about you, Chris? Do you have anything to add to that, or is that pretty much what Phil said?
I mean, I have almost no knowledge of Lady Loki, so anything they would do would be a surprise to me. It would be interesting to see who they would cast, because do you try to go with somebody who slightly resembles like a female Tom Hiddleston, or do you just go whoever is best? Because, I mean, you can find lookalikes for almost anybody these days. Like, there's probably a woman out there who looks like she could be Tom Hiddleston's sister, so they could probably find that very quickly. But if they do a Lady Loki thing, I have a feeling it's going to be like a quick nod thing. I don't think it would be a major character. Mm-hmm. But we also don't know if there is like a major villain to this show, because the trailers have not indicated whatsoever who he's going to be fighting and why. It's pretty much all about him getting arrested and then brought into the TVA so far. So there's still so many questions up in the air, but frankly, I'm most looking forward to just Owen Wilson in general.
No, definitely.
He's such a funny choice for the MCU.
Yeah. I just thought about it. If we're doing time travel, I completely forgot that Kang is the bad guy for the Ant-Man movie that's coming up. So if you're doing time travel, this might be a way to either introduce Kang or like put like a nod to Kang's origin.
Yeah, that would seem to make sense, because that movie's not coming out for a while, so if they tied those two together, I could definitely see that making sense. I heard Kang a while ago, and then there was also talk of, was it MODOK? He has his own show now. Isn't it like an animated show on some sort of streaming platform, like Amazon or something?
There's a goofy MODOK cartoon on Hulu with
Hulu,
Patton as the voice.
Mm-hmm.
The plan there is actually interesting, though. They want to do 4 animated series and then like a team-up series, sort of like what they did with the Defenders on Netflix. But it's going to be, it's MODOK, Hitmonkey, who's a crazy character. Like, that's the show I actually am kind of looking forward to. Mm-hmm. What were the other ones? Do you know what they are, Phil? Do you remember hearing about this? Yeah, there was Howard the Duck. There's going to be a Howard the Duck cartoon.
Oh, okay.
And then a 4th one. So like another 4th, like obscure, goofy, weird character, and then they would all merge and do like a big team up sort of special. But MODOK is a villain, Howard the Duck is a hero, and Hitmonkey is kind of in between. So I'm not really sure what's going to be happening there.
Does that have any connection to the MCU at all? Like with the original Howard the Duck? I mean, that's not a part of the MCU, but like, is there any connection between the Howard the Duck movie from that we talked about a couple months ago and the show, or no? Just completely its own thing?
I doubt it. It's just going to be an animated series. Like, it won't be connected to the MCU or anything. It'll just be this own side Marvel thing they're doing on Hulu.
Is that a kid show or no?
Oh, no. The MODOK show is very adult.
For some reason, I saw the I didn't see like any promos or anything, but I saw the graphic for it on Hulu. And I don't know, because it was animated, I just assumed it was a kid show. Though I know Invincible was animated too, and that was far from a kid show. So I guess that doesn't automatically mean it's a kid show. But yeah, have you checked it out, Chris, or no?
I watched the first 2 episodes. I could see why people enjoy it, and a lot of people have been speaking positively about it, but I don't think it's for me, so I probably won't finish it.
Did they put up the whole thing, or is it like a weekly thing?
Yeah, they dropped the whole season at once.
Oh, okay. Because I know, like with Bad Batch, the Star Wars show, I think they're doing a weekly on Disney Plus, which is kind of like their thing, which is what they're doing with this show. Now, does this show have 6 episodes, or does it have 10?
I'm not sure how many Loki's supposed to have, actually.
I thought it was 6, but I'm not sure. Now, we don't have a confirmation on when the What If show is coming out, right? Because I thought that was this summer, but if Loki's starting on Wednesday...
August. They just confirmed August, but they didn't say a date.
Okay.
So we just know August for now.
Okay, so it looks like it's going to be 6 episodes, because it's saying now that the final episode date of Loki is on July 14th. So that seems like it would be 5 or 6 episodes, and then, like you said, I don't think, like you said, they didn't confirm it, but they've been heavily speculating a second season. Now, give it a month, because I think that's around the same time that Black Widow comes out. So that's probably, I don't know if that's the reason, but it would seem to make sense to kind of give that some time to breathe and whatever. But yeah, no, I'm looking forward to seeing how they do it. And this is obviously meant to be more of a comedy, right, between Tom Hiddleston and Owen Wilson. This is definitely more of a comedy, right?
Seems like could be, yeah.
Yeah. At least compared to, like, we've talked about this before, but I like how they're kind of giving us different stuff. With WandaVision, it was more like drama and stuff like that. Falcon and Winter Soldier. I mean, every show has an element of everything, but that was more action-based. This one seems like it's more comedy-based. Not a full-on comedy, obviously, but that's what it seems like they're kind of going for. So it's definitely different than anything else we've seen so far. I know we've already talked about Falcon Winter Soldier. For some people, didn't really meet those expectations. The season finale was kind of all over the place. Do you think the Disney Plus shows, I'll start with you, Chris, do you think they have a good track record going into Loki? Thinking, okay, if they did right by these shows, they'll probably do right by this one too.
I do. I think that both shows are very good. I think with WandaVision, some of the press that came out with like all of the, there's a big cameo, whoops, it's just Paul Bettany, and then them like purposely making people think all these different characters were important only to not be important, like that may have backfired a little bit. But the show on its own is great. And Falcon and Winter Soldier, like, even though that finale wasn't perfect, I still loved that first season of that show. Like, there's so many great moments in that, and just the overall story, and seeing Anthony Mackie get to be like the leading man for once was just awesome. So I think they're knocking it out of the park so far. I mean, everything Disney Plus has produced so far has been good to great. Now, I can't speak on that live action Lady and the Tramp movie they made when the service first dropped. Like, I have no idea if that's any good, and I probably never will. Or Cruella. I have not seen Cruella. But beyond that, I enjoyed everything else that Disney Plus has produced on some level.
I haven't seen it either, but I heard it was good. Not the Lady and the Tramp shit, but I'm talking about Cruella. I heard that was decent. I don't know if I'll watch it, but I might give it a chance. I haven't seen a lot of the live-action Disney movies. I haven't seen Aladdin yet. I saw Lion King, and I like that one. I like Beauty and the Beast, but we'll have to see about Cruella. But, yeah, no, I think, so far, at least with the Marvel and Star Wars stuff, both seasons of The Mandalorian were great, and the first 2 Marvel shows were really good. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with it. What about you, Phil? What are your thoughts on the fact that we've had these 2 Disney Plus shows so far with Marvel? Both have been good to great. Do you think this one, are you expecting it to be great going into it?
Yeah, I mean, I think they've got a good track record so far. I think both shows were good. I think both shows were unique. And this looks like more of that. And if anything else, I think both WandaVision and, Falcon and Winter Soldier were great vehicles for the next Marvel movies. And, like, I feel like if this is that, like, if it's another project to build to something else, like, I feel like this is a good step in the right direction. Because, I mean, people can say what they want about the Falcon and Winter Soldier finale. It absolutely got me excited for a movie. And I'm not sure if everybody would be as excited for a movie without that show.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think that set the stage nicely for whenever that movie comes out. I don't know if it's in 2 years. I forgot when they said it was, but no, the season finale I thought was well done in that respect. But yeah, I mean, it's June as we speak right now. The show comes out on Wednesday. We've already had WandaVision and Falcon Winter Soldier. It's been almost a month and a half since we've had anything Marvel related, really. But in the next 6 months, though, they're really revving it up between the 6 episodes of this show. We have What If, which I believe is also a shorter show. I don't know if we're getting another show before the end of the year. If What If is it, I imagine there's at least one more. I don't know what that would be. But movie-wise... What was that?
Because think they just like finished filming Hawkeye.
Oh, so you think that might be the fall show?
Maybe, because Vera Farmiga, the actress, she just did an interview that I read recently where she talked about how she's playing Kate Bishop's mom.
Oh, okay.
In the show, and she's like, oh, people are gonna love it. Haley Steinfeld is so good in this show, and it's gonna be so interesting to watch her take over for Hawkeye and all this stuff. So that could be like, fall into winter, maybe, if not early next year.
Yeah, I could see that dropping before the end of the year. If not, like you said, in January, which was around the time that WandaVision came out. But other than that, though, at least as far as what we know, we have this, we have What If, and then we have 4 movies in the next 6 months between Black Widow in July. We have Shang-Chi in September, Eternals in November, I'm pretty sure. And then we have the new Spider-Man movie, No Way Home, in December. Now, this gets asked about a lot. I don't think it's true, but do you think... Phil, I'll start with you. Do you think anyone's going to be experiencing, maybe not anyone, because there's bound to be some people, but like you specifically, do you expect to have Marvel fatigue by the end of the year, or do you think this is kind of like their way of kind of making up for the lost year in 2020 where we had no Marvel content whatsoever?
I mean, I think if you're bought in and you're an MCU fan or even just a comic book fan, you're not gonna have fatigue. And I'm a comic guy, so I'm not gonna have fatigue. I think the fatigue comes from all of these people that are outside of the bubble of fandom. So I don't think fandom is gonna be upset at all, especially coming out of a year where we didn't have any Marvel movies and everybody's just now getting back to theaters. I don't think there'll be fatigue.
What about you, Chris?
No, I don't think there'll be fatigue for the same reason. We're getting back to theaters now. You're going to see some of these theaters that have closed down possibly start to reopen. Like my local theater, which was a Regal Cinemas, that's shut down. And unless somebody else buys it, it's going to remain shut down. So I think we're going to start to see some of those theaters that closed down maybe get bought up by the remaining theater conglomerates. And yeah, people are going to want to get back out there. I mean, we're already seeing it. We just saw it with AEW All Out. Like, people were stoked to be back to being able to have like full events and live crowds. And it's going to be nice to get back to a movie theater for some of these things. Because as nice as it is to be able to like pause something and go to the bathroom or just sit on my couch and watch a movie, like a Marvel movie, a DC movie, a King Kong movie, like those are the kind of things that should be seen on a big screen, and so it'll be nice to be able to do that again.
Definitely. Have you guys seen anything in theaters recently?
No.
Has this stuff reopened where you guys are in Chicago or not yet?
Yeah, their theater's open. I just haven't gone.
I mean, the one that I would go to normally, which is 15 minutes away, is just permanently shut down because Regal Cinemas is no longer a company.
Regal shut down. Yeah,
they went belly up during the pandemic, so
yeah.
That's like 500 theaters across the country that are just shut down. Now, if AMC rebounds, if any Hollywood Cinema, whatever it is, Hollywood Palms, if any of those companies decide to come in and swoop up these properties at a steal, then that'll be nice. But right now, the closest theater to me that I would want to go to anyway, because there's one pretty close that's just trash, is about 45 minutes away. So going to a movie theater that I would want to go to isn't the easiest thing in the world right now.
Is there anything out right now that you guys would want to go see in a theater coming out? I know Quiet Place just came out last week, and I think F9 comes out at the end of the month. Would Black Widow be like the first movie that you see in a theater? Is there anything specifically or no?
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested in seeing Black Widow. There's nothing right now that I feel like is must watch for me in a theater. I would have liked to have seen Mortal Kombat in a theater. I think it probably would have been better. But yeah, I don't think that was must see at a theater. It's just one of those movies that probably would have been, better with a theater experience.
What about you, Chris?
Kong versus Godzilla would have been nice to see in the theater.
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah.
As far as Black Widow goes, that might be the only movie where I would do like the Disney Plus premium access thing, just because, $29.99 or I can drive 45 minutes, pay $15 for a ticket, and then probably whatever $1,000 their concessions cost. Because concessions out here are ridiculous. Like, I don't know what it's like by you, Graham, but going to a movie theater in Northern Illinois is, like, very expensive.
Yeah, no, I could definitely believe that. I mean, it's definitely not cheap here, but it's probably even more expensive out there.
I'm not going to go see Fast 9 because I was already able to see that movie.
Oh, yeah, I saw you tweet that. Did you like it or no?
I mean, it's Fast and Furious. If you're on board for those movies, you'll like it. I'm not the biggest Fast and Furious guy. Like, I think some of the movies are entertaining. I think some of them are very, very stupid. So it's entertaining to some degree if you just look at it as like, these guys are basically just superheroes. Like, they're doing the stuff that we see Captain America do in his movies, but they don't have the super serum. It's just ridiculous cars and shit. So I will say that I felt like they did John Cena a little dirty.
Oh, yeah. We'll see. I'm interested to see how it turns out. I mean, you already watched it, but I've seen the last couple, so I'm curious to see what they do with it. I think that comes out at the end of the month, so that seems like the perfect movie. Do you think it would have been better watching that in a theater compared to watching it like on a TV or a computer screen or whatever?
For me, no, but for the average like Fast and Furious fan, yeah, it's definitely a cinematic experience. Like, those movies are big and, you know, lots of special effects and crazy stunts and all sorts of stuff. This movie, like, Hobbs and Shaw took it to a new level of ridiculousness, and this movie managed to top that.
Really?
I will
yeah,
say.
That was a movie. That movie was
like,
ridiculous.
Like, if you go to these movies to see, like, what ridiculous shit are they going to have these people do because that's fun, like, you will enjoy this movie. I will say that.
Okay, I'll probably check it out. One last Loki thing before I ask you guys some other Marvel-related stuff before we wrap it up here. But do you like the fact that it's moving to Wednesdays, the first show to do so since, I mean, even Mandalorian dropped on Fridays. It's the first real major Disney show to drop on Wednesdays. So I'll start with you, Chris.
It doesn't really make a difference to me what day it is, because I don't have, like, a normal 9 to 5 Monday through Friday work schedule, so I don't care, personally. Like, I mean, we're getting it 2 days earlier than we would have if it debuted on Friday, so for that reason, sure, I'm happy.
What about you, Phil? Does it make a difference to you, or you don't give a shit either?
No, it doesn't really make a difference. I mean, there's not much that I'm keeping up with weekly at this point. So, you know, it's just having something else to watch weekly is a good thing.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. One last thing, or two last things, I guess, before we wrap it up here. They dropped a lot of trailers since I've spoken to you guys last for Eternals, for Shang-Chi, and even for Black Widow. Phil, I'll start with you. Any of those three trailers that you've seen, did they get you any more excited for those movies than you were previously, or is it still like, they're not really for me or whatever?
Well, I mean, I think I'm more interested in Shang-Chi than I was, because now it looks like it's like a legitimate kung fu movie. Mm-hmm. Like, the choreography looks really good, and I'm curious what they're gonna do with Mandarin. So, yeah, I'm sold. I am not quite sure what to make of the Eternals trailer because they didn't really reveal much, and I mean, there's a lot there to be interested in, but at the same time, I don't know that much about the Eternals as a property, so I'm just kind of like, I'm probably gonna check it out anyway, but I'm not that super excited about it.
What about you, Chris? I mean, with the other movies, I agree. Shang-Chi, I'm definitely more interested in. The other two, Eternals looks interesting. That was the trailer kind of intrigued me, was that it wasn't really much of a Marvel thing, but it looks different. But yeah, I'm looking forward to them just because they're Marvel related, but I can't say I'm as excited for anything as I am for the Spider-Man movie. But what about you, Chris?
Shang-Chi looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm a big kung fu movie fan. I think I have like 200 of them on DVD, and I stopped buying DVDs like 10 years ago. So that's something that very much appeals to me. And Tony Leung, I believe he is the Mandarin in that. he's a great actor who's been in a bunch of movies that I really enjoy. Red Cliff 1 and 2, if you're ever looking for something to watch, and you can find those, are great. But the Eternals trailer, like, it looked cool, but it just gave me nothing. Like, there was no information for me to cling to. Like, I have no idea what the movie's about, what the central conflict is, or why I should care about any of those characters. And I know all it was a teaser trailer, and we'll get more later. But even the Shang-Chi teaser trailer gave us more of an idea of, like, okay, this is a guy who was raised by the Mandarin, and then he was sent out into the world and told, like, you know, you can go make your own way, but now you have to come back because we need you to do this and this. Like, we know that there's a general plot line, and we know what characters are doing what. We just didn't get that with the Eternals trailer, so I still need more to be interested, because I never, like, followed any of those characters in the comics, so none of that stuff is familiar to me, which I'm glad about, because for once I'll be going into one of these movies, like, not knowing the arc of any of the characters beforehand.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure we'll find out beforehand with more trailers.
I am really looking forward to Black Widow. I like Florence Pugh a lot, and I think that if she sticks around the MCU after this, which I believe is probably the plan, that'll be cool. But that movie just looks like it's going to be, like, just a big fun ride. And I do think something important will happen in it that will affect the future of the MCU. I don't think Natasha's getting resurrected or anything along those lines, but we're going to see something that actually matters, because there's no reason that they would go back and make that movie just to be like, oh yeah, we screwed up by not giving Scarlet a movie, so here's a movie. Like,
yeah.
They're going to use it to do something. Marvel doesn't do anything for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think her movie was long overdue. I think it's a shame that they didn't do it sooner and give her her own franchise. And if I had to guess, this has to be like a passing the torch thing. Like, I feel like this is all setting it up for Florence to be the next Black Widow.
Mm-hmm.
That's my guess. The Eternal stuff is interesting because there's a lot of stuff in that trailer that I noticed that was like, this could be interesting, because I know a lot of people are like, okay, if the Eternals have been around all this time, why didn't they do anything during, like, the decimation or when Thanos came? Especially now that we know that, I think it's been revealed that they're from Titan as well. So that's interesting, but that leads me to believe that when we're seeing the trailer jump around in time, it's that something happens to them that causes them to lose their memories, and they're just living normal lives, and something's going to happen to make them remember their Eternals again. That's my guess.
Yeah. I mean, you would have to explain why they didn't involve themselves in the last, however many Marvel and, related events, right?
Yeah.
Is that is that something that happened in the comics, that, like, they basically forgot that they were superpowered beings?
Yes. I don't remember which arc it was, but it was seen to line up, and there are certain parts of the trailer that I was like, yeah, that kind of makes sense, because there are parts where they're all together, and then there are parts where they're all in separate, like, lives doing, like, normal stuff. And I was like, yeah, I can see it being that they lost their memories and they're just, like, living normal lives, and somebody remembers and then, gets the band back together, sort of.
Yeah, I'm sure
that could be an interesting way to go about it.
But yeah, I mean, as far as, like, who is the villain, I'm not sure, because there's so many moving parts. Like, I'm wondering how does Black Knight fit into this, because he's not an Eternal. He's just, like, he's a normal human being that ends up getting, like, the Ebony Blade, which is the whole convoluted thing. But yeah, there's so many moving parts. I'm wondering how they're going to make this all work for one story, because there's so many characters.
And I'm also curious, are we going to see anyone else that's been established in the MCU in this movie? Like, it feels like at this point probably not, but they could be hiding some kind of big cameo. You never know.
The one thing that I did notice is in the background was that guy was holding a shield that looked a lot like Cap's shield.
Oh, I saw that. Somebody did a focus on it, and it's like a painting on the wall. It's not actually an item in the room. It's like a flat surface.
Ah, okay. But yeah. I mean, there are hints to stuff that look like that they're Marvel related. But yeah, it seems like, I mean, of course, like they mentioned Captain America, and I mean, I thought it was very interesting, of course, that they don't call him Captain America; they call him Captain Rogers.
Sam's Captain America now.
Yeah, so it's a lot of stuff that I'm wondering, like, because I mean, they clearly know who the Avengers are, but they've never intervened. So
yeah,
I'm wondering how they're gonna wrap it up. That leads more credence to my belief that maybe they just forgot that they were celestial beings.
Did you see the comparison video? I don't know who did it. Somebody on YouTube did it, where a lot of imagery from this trailer looks strikingly similar to imagery from the Inhumans. And like, so people are just like, man, this better not be another giant screw up like the Inhumans, because like some of the set design looked almost the same, and then I think it's Brian Tyree Henry's character, you see like building a construct that's made of like gold lines, and that looks exactly like something somebody in the Inhumans was doing. So it's interesting because the Inhumans are kind of linked to the Eternals a little bit, aren't they?
Yes, because I mean, like, if I remember correctly, the Celestials created the Eternals, and then like the Terrigen Mist that creates the Inhumans is linked to them, right?
Something like that. Like, I know the Kree are who created the Inhumans, but I think like were the Eternals sort of the inspiration for their experiments?
Yeah, something like that.
And then are they doing anything with deviants?
It seemed like there was a deviant in the trailer that they were fighting in one of the scenes in the woods. So I'm assuming they're in there. I don't know if they're the main villains though.
Because Thanos is not half deviant in this universe, is he? Because like in the comics he is.
It doesn't seem like it, but that's why I'm like, it's so interesting that they have decided that the Eternals are from Titan. So I'm wondering how that will tie in.
Yeah, because we never really, even though Thanos like showed that little projection of Titan to Tony Stark, we never really got to see what other people from Titan looked like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure
so
we'll
Thanos,
see that, yeah.
Thanos could be unique among his people because he's half deviant. Like, he might be the only big purple dude out there.
Yeah. I'm sure they'll definitely tap into that. It has been confirmed that Thanos will have anything to do with the movie, but I would be honestly surprised. I mean, not like modern day Thanos. It might be baby Thanos for all we know, but like I'm sure he'll tie into it somehow, some way, just because that connection's there. One last thing, because I mean, it might be irrelevant by the time this drops on Monday, but when do you guys think we're getting a Spider-Man trailer? Because I know the movie doesn't come out till December, but people are anxiously waiting for a new trailer. It might drop Monday, but it might drop a month from now. When do you guys think we're getting it? Chris, I'll start with you.
I mean, my guess is probably before like Black Widow at the theater would be the first time they would show it.
Okay, so when that comes out in about a month, maybe that would make sense. I know it's 6 months away, but people are like clamoring for it, even just a teaser trailer or something. What about you, Phil? Any insight? And when do you think we can be seeing a new Spider-Man trailer at some point?
Yeah, I definitely think it'll be attached to the first Marvel movie that comes back to theaters, and that's Black Widow. Like, I think they're gonna make it a part of like the return to movie experience.
Didn't they do that with didn't they do that with the other first Spider-Man movie, the second one actually, right after Endgame came out? They put the Spider-Man trailer like right before it or right after it or something like that? I thought, but maybe I'm wrong. I could have sworn they put the trailer like right after, and they were doing this thing in AMC theaters where they were like, "Oh, this contains spoil." It was like a week after Endgame came out, but they were like, "Oh, you don't want to be spoiled." Like, I don't know, it was something weird like that. But I think they attached the trailer for whatever that one was, Far From Home, to the Endgame movie 2 years ago. But no, that would seem to make the most sense. Any final thoughts, guys, on Loki or anything Marvel related as we wind down here?
I'm just excited to see where this goes. Man, I think everybody's eyes lit up the second Loki took the Tesseract and disappeared in Endgame. It's like, just the idea that we can get more Loki was always appealing. So I'm glad he's getting his own show.
Yeah, I agree. What about you, Chris?
I kind of love that Loki's the character that just can't die. Like, no matter what they do, like, and half of his deaths, like, are almost never explained how he came back. Like, how did he survive the end of the first Thor movie? There's no satisfying explanation, but nobody ever questioned it because it's like, it's Loki. Who cares? Mm-hmm. So I love that aspect of the character.
I mean, they're gods. Like, can they really die? Like, I mean, even if they die, like, they reincarnate, so.
But he's a frost giant.
Yeah, but he's not only a frost giant. Isn't he like mixed?
Well, I don't know. They never really, because like Odin picks him up and then his skin just sort of changes to normal skin color for him. So it's like, I don't understand that either. Because like all the frost giants like look super weird and have all these spikes all over their bodies, and he doesn't. So I don't know. It's strange. Maybe it's some kind of enchantment that Frigga put on him. Who knows? But I just think it's cool that he keeps popping back up, and it's always fun to watch him just chew the scenery. And like just the trailer, the few scenes they've shown us of the way him and Owen Wilson interact, like that relationship, I feel like is going to be the crux of that show, because it's going to be so funny to watch Owen Wilson keep outsmart. I feel like that's what's going to happen is Owen Wilson's going to outsmart him like almost every single episode in some way, and it's just going to keep pissing Loki off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, their relationship should be one of the better parts of the show. But the whole thing looks great. I'm very excited to see what they do with it. It looks like it's going to be very entertaining, and yeah, like I said, I think it's only 6 episodes, so hopefully they can make the most of it while it lasts. But yeah, that drops on Wednesday. Looking forward to breaking it down with you guys in the weeks to come. I don't know when we'll talk about it because it drops on Wednesday now, but we'll figure it out. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Phil, Chris, this has been great. Phil, people can follow you on the Twitter machine at PhilDL616. Chris, you're on the Twitter machine at BR_doctor. Thanks again, guys, for the time. I appreciate it, and I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, thanks.